Imagine for a second that you're playing a video game. But not just any game, one of those massive open world RPGs.
Okay, I'm with you.
You know the type. You've got a character, stats, quests. But in this game, every time a random villager is rude to you or a sudden storm just wipes out your inventory, it's not a glitch. It's actually a specific level designed to force you to level up a specific stat.
That is certainly a very distinct way to look at getting a flat tire on a Tuesday morning.
Right. But bear with me. What if life isn't just one random thing after another? You spill coffee, you miss the bus, you get ghosted.
Pretty usual chaos.
Exactly. What if none of that is RNG, random number generation? What if you're actually enrolled in a very specific, incredibly rigorous curriculum?
It's a compelling thought. It completely shifts the perspective, doesn't it? From being victims of circumstance to being students in a classroom.
A classroom we didn't sign up for.
Maybe not consciously, no, but one we're definitely sitting in.
Exactly. And that is the central metaphor of the source material we are covering today. We are doing a deep dive into a fascinating manuscript called University of the Soul by Jimmy Perez.
And I have to say, right off the bat, this isn't your typical self-help book.
Right.
Think positive and manifest a Ferrari.
No.
It's a really interesting blend. I mean, you've got memoir, you've got some heavy philosophy, and then this very practical, almost tactical spiritual toolkit.
It felt to me almost like a survival guide for the human spirit. And to understand the university, you kind of have to understand the student, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Because Jimmy Perez didn't start out as some guru meditating on a mountaintop.
Far from it. Perez describes his youth in Puerto Rico as well. Let's call it colorful, but dangerously so. He was reckless. Mischievous.
Running.
He was. He says explicitly that he was terrified of ending up dead or in prison, which was the path a lot of his peers were on.
And then later in life, he hits rock bottom.
A painful divorce, feeling completely stagnant like the walls were closing in. And the core insight here is that the pain, that rock bottom moment, it wasn't a punishment from the universe.
It was his enrollment letter.
It was his enrollment letter to the University of the Soul.
So today, we are going to walk through his syllabus. And I want to be really clear with you listening. This isn't abstract fluff. We're going to look at his roadmap for biohacking your consciousness.
Which is very different from ice baths, by the way.
Very different. We're going to completely redefine what it means to be an alpha using actual biology, not internet hype. And we'll talk about why choosing your heart is the only real secret to happiness.
There is a lot to unpack. What stands out to me is how he synthesizes so many different philosophies. You see threads of Christianity, Taoism, Stoicism.
Yeah.
But he filters them through this very gritty, real-world lens.
Spirituality for people who have actually been punched in the face by life.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that. So let's jump in. Segment 1, enrollment and the faculty. Because Perez starts with this idea of coincidence.
And I think most of us, when we hear that, we think, oh, I was just thinking about you, and then you called.
Right. Two random events colliding. But Perez challenges that. He argues that coincidences are actually patterns. They're a tapestry that you can only see when you look back.
In the moment, it's just chaos.
In the moment, it's chaos. In retrospect, it looks like a plot.
He uses an analogy here that I found really interesting. He compares it to playing a game with God.
Yes. The idea that our moves influence God's moves, or the universe's, however you want to frame it. But we don't control the outcome.
We're not the game master.
We're just a player.
Which brings us to the structure of this university. And first off, you don't apply. There is no common app for this place.
No application fee, no SATs. Life enrolls you. And usually it enrolls you against your will.
Right.
Perez admits he was a part-time student for a long time, doing the bare minimum, skipping class, until the pain got so bad he had to go full-time.
Okay, so if we're the students and life is the curriculum, who's the professor? The professor, in his view, is God, or the source. But here's where it gets really interesting, and this is where people might get a little tripped up. The professor has assistants.
The teaching assistants, the TAs.
Exactly. And unlike in college, the assistants are the people we meet every single day. And this is a crucial insight. Perez says even the wrong paths led him to the professor's assistants who taught him necessary lessons.
Wait, hold on. So that person who cut you off in traffic this morning, the boss who fired you, the ex who broke your heart, they're on a faculty.
In this framework, yes. Perez says there's no clear distinction between sinner and saint here. Everyone plays a role in your evolution. If life is a curriculum, then everyone you meet is there to teach you something.
That is a tough pill to swallow. It makes it really hard to hold a grudge if you view your enemy as just a strict teacher.
Think of it like a spotter in the gym. Sometimes they push you to failure, it hurts, you're shaking. You might even hate them in that moment.
Because the weight is too heavy.
But they are the reason the muscle grows, Perez is saying. Stop hating the spotter. Focus on the growth.
That reframe is powerful. It just stops the victim mentality in its tracks. But he also distinguishes between student types, right? He talks about young souls versus old souls.
He does.
And when I hear old soul, I think of like a kid who likes jazz and reads paper books.
Right. It's not about vintage aesthetics. And young soul isn't about age. You can be 60 and be a young soul. A young soul is someone content with immediate pleasures. They're not really goal-oriented spiritually.
Okay, so the young soul is sort of on autopilot.
Essentially, they're driven by the immediate.
Mm.
The old soul, by contrast, is driven by a desire for more. And he's very specific. It's not more money or more cars.
It's more wisdom, more
Yeah.
depth.
Exactly.
I thought it was really interesting that he defends desire here, because usually in spiritual texts you hear that desire is the root of suffering, let go of want.
True. That's the orthodox view.
Yeah.
But Perez flips it.
Mhm.
He argues desire is the fuel for evolution. I mean, King Solomon asked for wisdom. That was a desire.
Yeah, good point.
That desire to be better, to grow, that's what pushes you from a young soul to an old soul. It's the hunger for the curriculum. If you have no desire, you don't even show up to class.
It's distinguishing between the desire for things and the desire for growth.
Exactly. The young soul desires the toy. The old soul desires to understand how the toy works.
Okay, so let's say we're enrolled, we're hungry, we're ready to be old souls. Now we get to the core curriculum, which is segment 2. And this starts with conditioning.
We can't escape it. Perez talks about his environment in Puerto Rico, his socioeconomic status, his parents. It all programmed him. It's the operating system that was installed before he even knew what a computer was.
We're all programmed by our geography, our family, our culture.
Right. And the aha moment isn't just realizing you're a robot.
Oh.
The aha moment is realizing you can rewrite the code. The true awakening is understanding that we have the power to choose our conditioning. We can reprogram ourselves.
And one of the biggest things Perez had to reprogram was his idea of masculinity. This section on the alpha really grabbed me because that term has been so hijacked.
It has. It's a caricature now. He grew up seeing the alpha as, dominance, aggression, emotional detachment. He admits he mimicked this, especially after his father died.
He thought being the man meant being the hardest person in the room.
The one who speaks loudest.
Yeah.
The one who takes what he wants.
We see that all over social media. The alpha is the guy with the cigars and the Bugatti.
Right. But Perez actually looks at nature. He looks at wolf packs. And the biology, well, it contradicts the podcast bros, if you will.
How so?
In a real wolf pack, the alpha doesn't run in the front, barking orders.
No.
The alpha leads from the back.
From the back. Why?
Because from the back, you can see everyone. The alpha ensures no one is left behind. The alpha operates out of empathy and service, not brute force. The goal isn't to be the star. It's the survival and well-being of the pack.
That completely flips the script. So it's not about who's loudest. It's about who cares the most.
Precisely. It's leadership as service. And Perez goes a step further, and this is where he breaks from the whole mammosphere thing. He says an alpha isn't gendered.
So a woman can be an alpha.
Anyone, man or woman, who takes responsibility for the pack. It's about protection, empathy, and making sure the group thrives.
So he goes from this tough kid fearing prison to realizing that true strength is empathy. That's a massive shift in the operating system.
It's the difference between a young soul's understanding of power, which is force, and an old soul's understanding of power, which is influence and care.
Okay, let's move to the advanced classes, segment 3. This is where he talks about biohacking. And I gotta be honest, when I saw that word, I rolled my eyes a little bit.
You thought we were going to talk about red light therapy and supplements.
I really did. And spending $500 a month on vitamins?
No. Put your credit card away. Perez is talking about mind hacking. He identifies a problem I think every single listener can relate to. The drift.
The drift.
You have these moments of epiphany. You feel totally awake and clear. And then a few days later, you just fall back asleep. You go back on autopilot.
The struggle is real. You read a great book, you feel changed, and 3 days later you're doom scrolling on the couch eating cereal for dinner.
And you've forgotten everything. Exactly. So his hack is about sustaining that wakefulness. He calls it biohacking autopilot.
And it starts with ask and you shall receive. Is this prayer?
It's more like active inquiry. He uses self-dialogue. He literally asks himself, how to stay connected to that source. But the real hack is his diet, not his food diet, his content diet.
Okay, what does that look like?
He consciously consumes what he calls hard content. He's not reading light fiction or scrolling TikTok when he feels that drift coming on.
He's reading Aristotle.
He's reading Aristotle, Nietzsche, dense religious texts. He's forcing his brain to engage with complex ideas.
Why does that help with the autopilot?
Because autopilot thrives on ease, on the familiar. When you grapple with hard content, you force your brain to wake up. It's like resistance training for the mind.
If you stop lifting weights, your muscles atrophy.
And if you stop lifting heavy ideas, your consciousness atrophies. He combines that intellectual rigor with meditation and prayer. He's constantly feeding his mind high-quality fuel so the engine doesn't stall.
Speaking of engine stalling,
Yeah.
let's talk about time, because he has a pretty trippy take on time in this section.
He argues that time is an illusion, or, well, a tool that we've misused. We treat time like a master. I'm running out of time. I'm too old for this.
We let the clock dictate our stress level.
Exactly. He says we need to treat it like a ruler.
A ruler.
Think about it. A ruler measures distance, but it doesn't control the distance. Time measures moments, but it shouldn't control them. It's a metric, not a mandate.
He shares that really sweet anecdote about his mom here.
He does. She's 71, but he says he sees her essence as the same vibrant soul she was at 32. The body ages, but the soul is timeless.
But he does have a practical application for this. It's not just, time isn't real, so I'm late for work.
No, he's still practical. He brings up the concept of daily renewal. Today I live, and tonight I die.
Whoa, that sounds morbid.
It sounds dark, but it's actually liberating. The idea is that we are reborn every morning. When you go to sleep, you die to that day. All the mistakes, all the young soul moments, they die with a day.
So when you wake up, you have a fresh chance.
A clean slate at the university. You aren't carrying the baggage of yesterday unless you choose to pick it back up. It prevents the accumulation of regret.
Okay, so we've done the coursework, we've met the faculty, we've hacked our autopilot. Now comes segment 4, the exam. And the exam is struggle.
This is the part nobody wants to hear. This is where he challenges our modern aversion to pain. He asks a simple question. Why do we accept struggle in the gym or in school? But when life gets hard, we say, why me?
Yeah, we play the victim card immediately. The universe is against me.
Perez uses the visual of the chick breaking out of the egg. It's a classic biology example. If you help the chick, if you peel away the shell for it,
The chick dies.
the chick dies. Because the struggle to break the shell is what forces blood into the wings and strengthens the heart. It needs that struggle to survive the world outside.
So struggle isn't an obstacle to the path. Struggle is the path.
As Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. Perez would add that the unchallenged life is not worth living.
But to face that struggle, you need focus. And he says we're dealing with a focus epidemic.
This is a crucial distinction. He argues that we don't lack focus. Humans have incredible focus. You could focus for 4 hours on a video game. You could focus on a Netflix binge until 3 a.m.
That's true. I can focus on things that don't matter very easily.
Exactly. So the problem isn't capacity, it's direction. He compares attention to a wind blowing through a house. If you open all the windows, the wind just scatters. It loses its force.
So we need to close the windows, treat focus like a muscle.
Stop scattering your wind, because you need that wind to handle the hard.
And this leads to my favorite phrase in the whole text. If you take one thing away from this deep dive, let it be this: choose your hard.
It's a mantra we should all have taped to our bathroom mirrors.
Break it down for us, because choose your hard sounds a bit like pick your poison.
It's an acknowledgement of reality. Look at the options. Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Being fit is hard. Being overweight and battling disease is hard.
Financial discipline is hard.
And the stress of debt is hard. There is no easy option.
The easy path usually leads to a much harder reality down the road.
Exactly. You cannot opt out of struggle, but you have the agency to choose which struggle you want to endure. You want the struggle of discipline or the struggle of regret?
Wow. That hits home. The struggle of discipline weighs ounces. The struggle of regret weighs tons.
And he ties this directly to responsibility. He says something that might trigger some people, but it's essential to his philosophy.
What's that?
You made an appointment for where you are right now.
Ugh, you made an appointment. That sounds like victim blaming if you take it the wrong way.
It can sound harsh, but in the context of the university, it's empowering. It means your current reality is the result of your past choices, conscious or unconscious,
And he says this not to shame you.
but to wake you up. If your choices got you here, your choices can get you somewhere else. Blame paralyzes, responsibility empowers.
It's the ultimate taking of ownership. You're the architect. If you don't like the house, stop blaming the bricks and start redesigning.
Precisely. And that leads us to the final grade, the ultimate goal of this university.
Which isn't a diploma
Yeah.
or a Ferrari.
No. The formula Perez gives is simple. Progress, happiness.
Not achievement happiness, not arrival happiness.
Progress. It's about the dash. On a tombstone, you have the birth date and the death date. But life is lived in that little dash between them. It's not about the harvest, the completion. It's about the growth happening right now.
And he ends with this beautiful metaphor of the butterfly.
He does. It's the perfect capstone. He points out that when a caterpillar becomes a butterfly, the wings were always inside it. The imaginal cells were there from birth.
So it didn't change into a stranger. It became what it was always meant to be.
The potential was always there. It just needed to go through the process, the struggle, the breaking out to reveal it.
The message being, you are enough.
You were born perfect and you die perfect.
Yeah.
The journey, the university of the soul, is just the process of realizing what was there all along.
It's a powerful roadmap. It takes away the randomness of life, the spilled coffee, the heartbreak, the coincidences, and it gives it a structure, a purpose.
It turns chaos into a curriculum, and that makes the chaos bearable.
So we've unpacked the syllabus, we've met the faculty, even the ones we don't like. We've learned to choose our hard. Now the ball is in your court, if you're listening.
Indeed. Enrollment is open.
So here is a final provocative thought for you to chew on today. If you are, as Perez says, the architect of your own life, and if you are currently living in the house built by your past choices, what hard choice will you make today to redesign your tomorrow?
That's the question.
Thanks for diving in with us. Class dismissed.